I counted, first off, I'm very grateful to be here, but I really don't want to pursue this bifurcated role of Arab and American. You're Americans, as far as I'm concerned. Let me point out to you, I counted, I took a brochure from the hotel, and I counted, you got 41 individuals who fancy themselves Arab Americans who are running for public office. I want to encourage them. I hope you'll support them. If there's anything we need, is good, solid, intelligent people in public office. But now let me tell you, don't clap too loud, because it's not going to make any difference. It's not going to make any difference. Stop and think. Let's talk about where the United States is right today. You proud to be Americans? I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed of my country. Stop and think. Education. 1/3 of our children do not graduate from high school. 1/3. We're 47th in the world in literacy. There's only 2 countries, industrialized countries on earth, that do not take care, health-wise, of all their people. One is the United States, and the other is South Africa. Proud of that situation as Americans? Please. And don't think that these situations occurred just under the Republicans. This has been going on for the last 40 years, and we're all stakeholders and failures in this regard. We take it home. You don't look to other people and blame them. No. We got a tax system in this country. We tax corporations. Ridiculous. I mean, 101 economics will tell you that that's foolish. And you got a Rust Belt here in Michigan. You know what you got? You got it from your system of taxation and the fact that you have your corporations carry health care. Why is there something unique about corporations that know something more about health care than our medical industry? Doesn't make any sense. And so we make ourselves uncompetitive in the world through taxation and through the way we handle health care, and then we want to blame other people in the world because they're prepared to work cheaper. Please, let's look internally. Let's not look to blame other people for our failures. In fact, if you look at the immigration issue today, if you really look at it to heart, what is it? We fail in education, we fail in health care, we're warmongers in the world today, and we fail on that score, and what do? Those Latinos are the ones that are the problem. They're flooding over the borders to come to this country. All they want to do is make a living and feed their families. Something wrong with that? Something wrong with that? My parents came here very modest. They worked very hard. And they instilled us with one important device and attitude. That was, you work, you contribute, you feel for other people. And that's what's wrong with the United States. We don't seem to give a damn about the rest of the world. And you can feel it. Just look around. Look around. You heard, our foreign policy, at least American vital interests. What's American vital interest? Whether it's in the Middle East or anywhere else. It's a beggar thy neighbor policy. Beggar thy neighbor. When everybody looks out first and foremost for their vital interest, we all starve. We all starve. This is a tragedy. Our nation has to face up to our responsibilities that we slid down in. How do you feel as American taxpayers to be paying people to torture other human beings? How do you feel about that as Americans? I'm ashamed. I'm horrified. How do you feel about our country invading another country without cause? Oh, we have a problem in Afghanistan with Al-Qaeda, so let's go to the other side of the world and kill some people just for effect. I mean, does it get any simpler than that? You wonder who's destabilized the Middle East? The United States of America has destabilized the Middle East, and we're going to pay the consequences of that. Now I didn't mean to make this a debate, but I want to tell you that we've had 2 serious votes in this country. One is Lieberman Resolution number 1. And the only time I ever was envious not to be a senator, and I'm glad I'm not there, was that day I would have filibustered it. And I'd be filibustering the Democratic leadership. But it was the Democrats and Republicans that brought about George Bush's ability to go to war. And I don't care what Hillary tells you, she was dead wrong. She voted against an amendment that would have made it George Bush to have to come back. Heck no. You vote for that one, and we went to war. How many Americans have we killed over there? How many Americans? How many Iraqis have we killed? They give you some crazy numbers. I'll tell you, it's over 1 million. How much of your treasure, before this debacle is over, we will have spent $1.5 trillion. You wonder you don't have any money for education? You don't have any money for roads? You don't have any money to rebuild our infrastructure? Of course you don't have any money. We're just blowing it in violence. In violence. When will we wake up that we're not the greatest people in the world? We're not even close to being the greatest people in the world. You know, we Americans, we think we're so hot stuff. Let's look at, we're number one. What are we number one in? We're number one in weaponry. You're proud of that? We spend more in defense than all the rest of the world put together. Who are we afraid of? Who? Point to one. We pollute more than anybody else, or 5% of the population. We spend more, we have more government debt, more private debt, more corporate debt than anybody. We're number one, all right. We put more people in jail than any other country in the world. You're proud of that? We have an energy policy. We consume energy and leave ourselves hostage to a Middle Eastern policy that's tragic. You're proud of that? Oh, we're number one. We're number one in delusion. That's what we're number one in. We have delusion. Let's talk about Lieberman number one. The Democrats made it possible. Republicans overwhelmingly voted for it. Caused the war. And now, look what happened. You've heard the cliche, fool me once, it's your fault. Fool me twice, it's my fault. And now I'm on the 26th, and the only other day that I've ever envied not to be in the Senate was on the 26th of September when they voted in the Senate for the second Lieberman resolution. And that is a resolution to give George Bush the ability to invade Iran. I gotta tell you, there is a situation here that is extremely dangerous. All I can tell you about our leadership, they're fools. When you get the Prime Minister of Britain joining with George Bush, when you get Sarkozy of France joining with George Bush, and you got Merkel going down to Crawford, God knows what the Germans are going to do. But I'll tell you, just put the drum beat, just listen to the roll of what's going on. Madeleine Albright in Prague. Oh, it's okay. Join the others. We need to invade Iran. Wes Clark, a general, armchair general, kind of, and he believes we ought to invade Iraq also. And then, of course, you've got the entire Democratic leadership. Stop and think. I'll repeat what I said on the McNeil and the NewsHour. And that was, I said very clearly, and I had intelligence that very day, that it was an APEC guy who was writing the details and negotiating details of that resolution. And the fellow who was interviewing almost fell off his chair. The presidential candidate would say that. But just stop and think. You think it's an accident that you get the majority leader of the Senate, you get the majority whip of the Senate, you get the chairman of the Armed Services Committee, you get Hillary Clinton, and that whole leadership is all lined up and at a moment's notice clicks into action when who knew that this resolution was coming up? Nobody knew it. It was sprung right then and there. And the only guy that stood up was Webb, who said, my God, this should go to the Armed Services Committee. We ought to take a look at this. And he was pointing out, and of course, nobody else, including Hillary, didn't even understand what the heck they were voting on. We already have a sanction out of the UN in March against the Republican Guard. We already have that. In fact, we got the names of 5 generals and 3 admirals that we followed their bank accounts around the world and we're ready to close them down. So what was the purpose of defining, and of course, Webb was right. International law doesn't permit you to do this. If you got a problem with the country, take it with the country. You don't reach inside and say that this part of the country is a terrorist organization.